Wow, what's up? This is Platinum No Limit Rap Artist, Mr. Serv-On from the Historic No Limit Records, man. And I'm coming up next. Only Touch Greatness podcast, man. Trust me, if you're not touching this podcast, you're not touching greatness, bro. You
Right.
know,
Greatness.
And
So
uh, and I was gonna say, man, and the RP Tobin,
so
Tobin Costen, how was it? Like, what was your first reaction whenever you met Tobin, and how was it? You know, with
Tobin was
yeah, how was it just working with
because we
Tobin
had we,
back
we had him
then?
on the show. We had him
Because
on the
we had
show, and
him on
he's
the
great
show.
with us.
Tobin was a extremely smart dude, man. Not just the music business, very smart, man. Very, very, very smart. You know what I'm saying? And he was hard working. Much as P was around, out there. He was grinding also. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He was a he was a hell of a guy, very very smart guy, man. And I think you know he should have been one of the big executives in his business. He should have
Mhm.
been that. Of course, things that went on with him and P and that situation. Unfortunate, but hey,
Yeah,
Right.
so
Right.
life.
Some things just happen, what I'm saying, even with miscommunication and understanding. So, but
yeah,
long as, they still knew, what I'm saying, that they could still, it's still something, a relationship still there. You know what I mean?
yeah. It was hurtful though. It was hurtful because P brought us up there and we got to know him, and I really was kind of like in the middle of that because God rest his soul, and I don't know, the reason he made the decision he made, which was coming to us and saying, "Hey, you guys could do this stuff with me and this, that, that." I guess he wanted to break away from P, and for me, it was more loyalty, because P brought us there and was like, "Yo, what's going on? Why is this happening?" And then, P was like, "Don't worry about it. I'll deal with that and this and that," and that really split up. Then King George was more with Tobin, and so then George wasn't no longer with us. Ed was still with us, but it was still rough. God said so, but I always wondered, like, if that wouldn't have happened. You know what I'm saying? In a sense of
Right. What would it have
because
been? Like, what it could have
yeah,
been. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, or him being able to share in the success that in the beginning he was there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's the way. Sometimes maybe if that wouldn't happen, maybe we didn't go where we went. You know what I'm saying? So I look at it both ways. You know what I'm saying? It still was a sad situation because, he was somebody that that I was cool with. You know what I'm saying? All of us were. We had love for him. We felt he had love for him, for us.
Right.
That's when he went to the Bay. After that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
We were in the Bay. We went in the. Yeah, we were in the Bay. That's where I met him out in the Bay.